Hello, we
Hello.
are live. Today I am joined by the lovely Rosy. And oh, let me just mute myself. There we go. Oh no, hold on 2 seconds. Right, that's not echoing, is it? No. Okay, it was, and then I was like, no. Okay, so for anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Sharon. I was diagnosed with cancer 4 years ago. I since have become a cancer mentor. I'm the cancer mum cheerleader and basically cheering for everyone affected by cancer. And one thing that I feel is really important is that we talk about cancer and we help raise that awareness. And it's by having women like Rosy come on who then are open and happy to talk about their stories that we're able to do just that. So, Rosy, hi.
Hello.
Hello. So, can you take us back to the moment that your child was diagnosed and what do you remember most about that day?
So the day he was diagnosed, we'd gone in for a scan. So he had developed like a little lump in his testicle at the age of 2. We took him to the GP. They phoned around hospitals, they phoned around the children's hospital and then phoned the local hospital, and they said, should be fine. If you can shine a light through it, it's probably normal. It's something called a hydrocele, which is like a ball of fluid that young boys can get. And they said it could get bigger. It could. He had no other symptoms apart from this little lump. And we expected it to get bigger. And they said it could take about 6 months to kind of disperse. It could take a while. It could be there for a long time, come back if you're worried. And I think it just so happened that my husband said, do you think we should get a scan just in case? And the GP agreed. I think because we're both medical, so I wonder whether that had an impact on them booking a scan.
Maybe.
So we waited 16 weeks for a scan, and sure enough, the tumour got bigger. Still no pain. It wasn't painful. No other symptoms linked to a cancer diagnosis whatsoever. And we went in, had the scan. I looked at the scan as they were doing it, and I was thinking, that's not fluid. That's not a ball of fluid. That's a mass of something. And you try and kind of talk yourself out of it and think, oh no, well it's probably fine. They're probably turn around. I've probably got it wrong. It's probably fluid. But the radiographer at the time on the scan said, agreed that this is not fluid, and she said, we're going to speak to paediatric oncology, and it was like, okay. It kind of went very quickly. That day, we went to see the oncologist that day, and we were sat in the room with her and one of the specialist nurses, and they didn't use the word cancer. They didn't use it, and it was so frustrating because they were skirting around the word, and I said, so it's cancer then, because she said, we see all the children with like lumps and bumps and stuff, and I was like, this isn't a lump and bump, this is a tumour. And you're saying it's cancer, because I'm sat in an oncology an oncology treatment room, and it just felt like they were avoiding the word completely. And I work with it, so I was a specialist nurse for palliative care at the time, And I used it every day. I used the word cancer every day. I didn't, you know, it was one of those things that I kind of questioned why they were skirting around the word and why, like, just to try not to make me panic so much, I guess. And then the next day he was in for an MRI and everything, and then they did confirm the next day that it was cancer due to like a blood test that they took. And he went through, at that time he had a couple of weeks later he had an operation to remove it. It was quite big, so they weren't sure whether they could take it out. And like the scans and the tests and everything, it was just a whirlwind of it. And then that was about 3 years ago. Was it? No, 4 years ago. He was 2 at the time, and he's 5 now. So 3 years ago. So that was 3 years ago, and then we found out the week of Christmas that they thought they'd taken it all out, it had all gone, and he didn't need treatment, so he didn't need any chemo or anything. And then a year later, pretty much exactly a year later, it had come back. So the cancer had come back. It was early stages coming back, but they couldn't detect where it was. The MRI didn't show anywhere that was concerning. So we knew that it was early, that they caught it early. But then we knew it was like chemo. It was straight on to chemo.
So where did it come back then? Was it in the same place?
We don't really know. So every month he had a blood test, and it's the markers for his type of cancer come on a blood test. So it's very sensitive. And it came up raised. So we went in, they did it again, it was even higher. So it's kind of like, it felt like it had just come back somewhere. Potentially lymph nodes, potentially lung. They were the sort of where it could have spread to, but it could have been anywhere. So we don't really know where it was, but the cancer, the kind of the chemo was targeted at those cancer cells, not the place it was, because it would be the same cancer cells coming back.
So was he not able to have a scan then to sort of determine where it was?
Yeah, he had the scan, but it was too early to tell.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So they couldn't detect it on... So he had a MRI and he had a lung CT and X-ray and everything, and they couldn't detect anywhere.
Oh,
they didn't know where it was. They got it early that time, but it was... Yeah, back into hospitals and chemo, and it's,
I mean, having cancer twice at the age of under 5, that is just horrific. I mean, how was he then the second time? Like, was he poorly, or was he, like, okay, or...?
He was okay. Like, he didn't have... Because he was so young, like when he was going through it, but he'd always known he'd had cancer. So from 2, we talked about it quite openly. It was part of the conversation. Like he was like, the hospital appointments and everything became normal for him, because it was they do things very, very differently in paediatrics, and it was just a routine. He wasn't scared about going in. He didn't have that link to cancer that an adult would. So he doesn't link that with the fears that an adult with cancer would have, or that we had. So it was, he kind of just took it as normal, really. And then when he was going through chemo, we did kind of struggle. mainly with kind of nausea and fatigue. But because of my background, I felt I understood this. I understood how to manage symptoms. I understood what to look for. So it felt less overwhelming for me because I knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
Because I knew that I had the background knowledge of it, but so it wasn't as overwhelming for me. So we managed to stay on top of it mostly.
Do you think
he just took it really easily? Like, he was like, yeah, all right.
Do you think with you both being like in the medical world as well, do you think you kind of like put your like nurse's hat on and that sort of like took over like mum role?
I think when it came to the clinical side of things, I had to. I had to put a different hat on to claim some of that control. Because I felt so... I felt so... Like, I think when you're in it, I think you just push through it and everything is... I disconnected from everybody. I was like, when he first got diagnosed originally, I was like, very tunnel vision. Let's get through this. Let's not overthink what it is. Let's not... trying not to blow it out of proportion, but I felt really guilty that it wasn't me going through it. Like, I felt horrible. Like, I think I was... That was the thing. One of the things that I really, really struggled with was the fact that it was him and not me, because I could have more control over it if it was me than if it was him, because, you know, so that's what I really, really struggled with. And I think I did click into nurse mode sometimes just to get through it. And it wasn't until afterwards, it hit me afterwards massively, because I think when you're in it, you're in this haze, you're in this, like...
It's just a surreal sort of... Yeah.
And you don't have time to think about it. You don't have time to dwell in it, really. It's just... You're just in shock and you're like, let's just get through this, da-da-da. And then you're kind of in fight or flight mode, and you're trying to fight, but it's like, oh. And then afterwards... I really, really struggled. It really, really hit me then, because I couldn't. I didn't have, like, it kind of, everything kind of came on top of me, and the control almost felt worse afterwards, because I still couldn't control what was going on, and I couldn't control what had happened, and. Yeah.
I mean, that
makes sense.
That does make perfect sense, because it's when, as a mum, we want to protect our children, but that's something that you just you can't protect them from. But it's then, well, what can you do? Like, how can you try and like control the narrative, and how can you help them going forward? Do you think then this has like changed your relationship with him?
I think so. I think he managed it. He dealt with it. Like, he smashed it. He was so positive. He was so, like, he didn't care going into hospital. He refused to take his anti-sickness. And I was like, you need to take it, because if you don't, we'll have to go into hospital and you'll be very sick. And he understood that. He even at the age of 3, he understood that if he didn't take this medicine, he'd be sick. and he felt sick, but he wouldn't take it. So we ended up back in hospital. But he was like, yeah, I know, I'll be fine. Got into hospital. He was sick over the floor.
Oh, no.
And I said, do you understand why he was sick? He went, yes, because I didn't take my medicine. I said, why? Why didn't you take it if you knew that? He said, I just didn't want to. I didn't want to. I'm all right. But it didn't bother him. Nothing bothered him, apart from him being really unwell in it, and the line going in and everything. That the rest of it didn't faze him. He was so we would go in and he'd be like, I'm going to play with this toy. This is the toy I'm going to play with today. And it would be. It's a very different environment in paediatrics, because they're very. You don't sit in a room with other people. You've got your own room.
Right.
In paediatrics, and then the play therapists come in, and you've got the same team of nurses coming in the oncology nurses come to the school and they do the blood tests.
No way.
They do all the checkups. We had a WhatsApp group with them. We've still got this group with them that I could say, I'm really concerned, and they said, okay, come on in this week.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And we'll see you. So it's such a different support that you've got, and you've got the same people. So those people came in, and every night he was in hospital, he had a bead. Everything that he saw, everything that he went through, he got like a little bead for it. So he's got like a big chain of colourful beads, and each one means something. And it's just those sort of things that are like, oh, do I get a bead for this? It's a massive mindset, and the way he dealt with things, I look up to. I've learned more from him than about life than I have from any adult, I think, because he's just so, I don't know,
This is the thing with, I know everyone says, kids are resilient and everything, but I just think, the way children look at things, and especially kids who go through cancer, they just, but I think as well, I think for us as adults, we have then grown up with, cancer being a dirty word, or we've lost people through cancer, and so for us, there's so much fear around cancer, and because it doesn't get talked about, it's just then this elephant in the room that is just, it's you don't talk about it. Whereas with kids, they haven't had that, so it's just a thing to them, and they're just it's amazing.
He flies the word around all the time. He'll still go, oh, is it because I had cancer? It's no. And it was Childhood Cancer Awareness Week, and I said to him, his childhood, this month is all to do with childhood cancer. And he went, does that mean everyone at school has to be nice to me? And I was like, no, you haven't got it now. And it's these things are he knows he had cancer. He knows the word cancer, but he knows it in a different way than I do, and a different way. I've worked with people dying from cancer. At the time of his diagnosis, my experience of my most recent experience of cancer is watching people die from it. So I was so mindful to go from the diagnosis of cancer diagnosis, one of the most traumatic things I've ever gone through is somebody telling me that my child has cancer. Out of everything, that was the one moment that was in that moment that my life changed. Everything fell apart. That was that moment, and I think in that moment, I was there was so much going on in my head about what that meant. And we didn't know the extent of it until like the day after, and we didn't know the type of cancer he had until the day after. So it was all like that first night was, I was just shaking all night. Absolutely, I was in such a massive shock, and yeah, I can't remember the point I was going to make.
But the thing is, though, I think as well,
fear behind it.
Yeah, and I think even though it was 24 hours and then another 24 hours, those 24 hours, I can imagine, must have felt like the longest 24 hours ever, because then your mind does just go to the dark place. And I think, yeah, for so many people, like my brother made a joke the other day that I'm the only one in our family who survived cancer. We've lost my stepdad, we've lost my auntie to it, and there's just so much fear around it.
There's that link, yeah. And
so, yeah, people automatically go to, it's not good news. Like, it's not good. There's no hope. There's nothing.
And you hear the word cancer, the first question you've got is it terminal and how long have I got?
Yeah.
And that's the first thing people say to you. Is, this is the first thing. Is it okay? Is it curable? Is it?
Yeah.
And it's where their head goes to as well.
Yeah.
And it's very... Because I think it's the word. I was so mindful. I was trying not to give that word the power. I wanted to use the word because I didn't want to put it above me. I wanted to. It's just the word.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It's
just a word.
Other conditions that are just as bad, if not worse, and they don't have the same. They don't have the same the word doesn't have the same impact as the word cancer. It's the word that people dread.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's,
if you say cancer, people will just gasp. It's like, it's just straight away. It's just
yeah.
Do you feel like you ever lost a part of yourself, or did this create like a new version of you?
So I lost a huge part of it. I lost a huge part of who I was, and I suppose it's a part of the innocence, part of like a naive version of myself that was plodding through life fine, and it took a massive chunk of who I was at first, but since the cancer, I have started to ask questions, and I've started to look for meanings. I've had to put meaning on it because I was thinking, why is a 2-year-old getting diagnosed with cancer? Why is that? He hasn't done anything. He hasn't, there's nothing, even on an energetic scale, he's not holding any emotions. He's not holding anything because he's 2. He's letting everything, he's a child. So I had to put meaning to it, and otherwise it was going to drive me crazy. And I don't know, I can't say the meaning for it, but I do think that it was a massive shift in who I was, and it took me because I went so low, so kind of broken. I then had to reassess who I was before and what my values were, and if I wanted to carry on being the person that I was before? And the answer was no. I wanted to be somebody very different, because this is real. This is real trauma. This is real people. And I never understood, I thought I did, but I never really understood what cancer really meant for people until I've gone through it.
I suppose, for you, because you, in your profession, you're seeing only like a small part of it and a small fraction of how it then was affecting people. You weren't seeing maybe how it affects then, you were seeing how it affects the patient, but then not how it affects then the family and everyone else around as well.
But also, I think there's a massive misconception that when somebody survives cancer, everything goes back to normal and everyone's happy, and you just flip into, okay, well, I'm fine now. Let's get on with the rest of my life. It really isn't like that, because everything has to rebuild. It's starting from scratch again, and I had to go into like a deep discovery of who I was, and on so many different levels. And because I was a wreck, I was having so many anxiety attacks, and I can't sustain this. I can't do it. I can't be a mum to my children if I'm broken still. I had to rebuild. I had to push my way up again. And yeah, I feel like I'm nearly there. And I've learned so much about myself, and I've learned so much about people that I never understood before, or never, you know, when you're a nurse, you know the science, and you know that it's affecting people mentally and emotionally, but you have science to back on. You have science to go, yeah, but the science says this, and we're putting you through this. But
kind of takes the emotion out, doesn't it?
It takes the emotion. It takes the person out of it. Yeah. And I mean, it's not that it's not that like people don't understand, or they're bad nurses, or they don't. But it's a deeper level that it doesn't teach you in nursing. It doesn't teach oncology doctors all of this. This is lived experience. This is the stuff that, you know, you learn from each other in the lived experience rather than from a book.
Yeah.
Because the books aren't going to tell you.
No, and that's the thing.
Because everybody is so different.
And I think that's the thing. It is a case of how people do assume that, you know, cancer's like a cold, and once you've got over it, that you can go back to normal. And it's like, it's not the case. But I think we both found from both of our experiences that there are so many people out there who do feel like that, and then just feel so lonely because of it.
And they feel like a failure.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because they can't get back to who they were before, but they can't. That might not fit them anymore.
No, exactly.
It's a shake-up that you kind of get to a stage and you have to reassess everything.
Yeah, and I think I found quite a few people don't want to. So then they just sort of stay in that limbo of not being able to go back, but either not being able to go forward. What would you say to another mum then who's just been told her child has had cancer or has cancer?
probably to take it one step at a time, and don't. I mean, it's very easy to say don't overthink things, but I think as a mum, you feel like a failure if your child is poorly. You feel like you haven't been able to protect them properly. And I think, and actually it's a very lonely place to be. Being a parent of a child with cancer is lonely because not many people really understand. Like, if you've got cancer yourself, everybody has a story. Everybody's got somebody who has been through it or has got it. It's a bigger proportion of society. But for children, I knew nobody else that had gone through this at all, and nobody really understood how lonely it was and how it affected me and my husband, and it affected my daughter because it was the lack of control. But I think if somebody's going through it, the best thing to do is just to, one, not blame yourself, take it step by step and reach out to people. Reach out to social media. I didn't have social media. I didn't plaster this. I didn't put my story out there until much later. And I think if I had, there would have been a lot more support for me, because people would you find people. I find more people now, and parents and other support networks that I didn't at the time.
No. But I think that's something you don't, because I didn't think to even look on social media, but I think you just don't know, so you don't think to look on there. You don't realise that there is that support out there. What would you want people to know then about childhood cancer that they may not understand? Is there anything?
That's a good question.
Other than, there not being much support for the families.
I guess it depends on the age of the child. Because if it's a young child, they go with how you're feeling. They go with, the emotions that you're going with. They're going with, if you're stressed, they're going to pick up on the stress. But and I think with paediatric oncology, it's a lot nicher than I think, I don't know that question, because I think everything and every child is different. And just go with the child. Let them lead about how they're feeling and how they're responding to it, how they're kind of responding emotionally to it, and be kind of guided by them, because they have to take control. The whole thing, and this goes for any cancer diagnosis with adults or children. The whole thing about it is the control, and if you can, it's a lot of the emotional side and the fear and everything is not being in control of it, and you kind of hand yourself over to the doctors. you hand yourself over and for them to give you poison and you just trust it.
Mm-hmm.
You've got no control. You have, but you don't. You just hand yourself over, or you just hand your child over and go, okay, help. And I think children feel that too, no matter how old they are. If they have a sense of control, if they've got a sense of, this is my illness, this is, I'm going to have the options. It's kind of giving them that responsibility for it, but allowing them to make decisions throughout. So I think the main reason why Marley, my son, didn't take his medications because of control. He didn't want to be. He wanted to get that control back, and it didn't matter if he was sick, because he was like that. I chose to do that, and it didn't bother him at all. So yeah, I think. Yeah, it depends on the age of the kid, I think.
I think you're right though as well, like when you said about how they pick up, because it's even like, when they're really little and then they fall over but they're okay, but then they look at you and you're like, are you okay? Then that makes them panic. So I can imagine that, if you're calm and you're trying to just be calm through it, then the child's gonna pick up on that and they're gonna reflect that.
Yeah, and actually learning through play as well. But he picked up. He was watching everything, and he would play through it. So they did a finger prick blood test, and he would go up, and he'd be like, just didn't say anything, but just grab your hand and just go, and then he tap the jar, and then he'd be like, I'm going to go and put it off in the rocket. So
I love that.
It was these things that are normalising it for him, and kind of going, well, it's okay to be like that. It's okay to, and I think playing, a lot of the thing for children is the fear of hospitals and the equipment and the binging of the machines, and we were quite lucky because we have medical equipment at home. We've got a stethoscope. He plays with a stethoscope. He's always had this like medical-ish equipment. He didn't have the link, and he wasn't scared of a nurse or a nurse's uniform. He wasn't scared of the equipment, and I think that that helped him because it took some of that fear away from him, because he was like, this is safe.
Yeah, it's familiar.
This stuff is safe. So, like, playing the doctors, playing things, and he would lie. So my daughter was 6 at the time, and he would go and, bring his chemo stuff, but he'd go and she'd be lying on the bed, and he'd be like, the doctor. And I think it was like they pick up so much, and I think that's, that they use it through play, and that's how they process things.
Yeah. I mean, it works, clearly.
Yeah. I mean, he can check a pair of lungs. Then he can use a stethoscope properly. He was very. He wanted a real stethoscope for Christmas that year, and because he had one, and there was one at the hospital, like a pretend one, and he was very upset that it didn't actually work. So they knew what it would. Yeah, they had to give him one of those.
Oh, brilliant! So, what are your dreams then now for both you and for Marley?
So for him, I want him to we're very open about it still. We do talk about it with him. He is very open. He will talk about it. He will kind of bring it up in conversation. I want him to look back when he's older and realise that if he can get through cancer, he can get through anything. I think that's a huge... I want him to be able to use this to push himself forward and use it as a way to go, like, you know, I'm a superhero for getting through it. It's something that, you know, it can help him through a fearful situation. It can help him through anything life will bring him, really. Any challenges that have come his way. Like he's you know, a 3-year-old that beat cancer. He did that at 3.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know, so I want him to be able to sort of look back and go, this is how strong I really am.
Yeah.
And use that as a mental shift for him. And the same with my daughter as well. I do want her to look through it and go, you know, I went through this at a young age, and she understood it a little bit more, and use some of the things that she learned from it to empower herself. And since he finished his treatment, I left nursing, so I left doing palliative care for a while, and I started coaching. And now I coach women after cancer to rebuild from scratch themselves. So I want to use it. I want to use my experience and my knowledge of cancer, both medically and personally, to really create this shift in after cancer care, because I don't think there's enough support out there for anybody to live a life after cancer. And I think so. I use my big dream is to create this change in potentially in healthcare, to change the way that they look at things, and to not be so, to kind of create a holistic side and well-being side, bring that more into like the NHS, into medicine, so it's not an either or. So that's more like big dream.
I think that is a dream that is very much needed. I think it is just so sort of not regimented, but it is this or that, isn't it? And it's like that's not the case, and it's not that anyone's ever saying don't have the medicine, but the holistic side can assist.
Yeah, there's space for both sides.
Yeah,
so there's space for everything, and I think healthcare is getting better in terms of managing the mental load of it and the psychological load of it, but it's not just about taking tablets for it. It's not just about having counselling. It's about what do you do from there.
Yeah.
Because that's great. That's a good start. But then I don't want to just be stuck in this stage where I'm like, okay, well, cancer happened to us, and you know, now I'm broken and I'm here. I wanted to push myself forward from it, and I wanted it to mean something.
Yeah.
And I had so many questions about life and spirituality afterwards. It was like a rebirth, really.
Yeah, no, And that's the thing, and I think it is, I call it my second chance life, and I think not everyone wants to do, what we do, and that's fine, like, that's completely fine. But I think for us, it's a case of we want to, take this rubbish situation and make something good from it.
Definitely.
And it's like there's a need for it. People need the support, because you're just kind of left to it, and then you're kind of left to it, but then you're also then kind of like you're not then told that there is support out there, so you kind of just it's implied that this is now your life, like you just carry on.
So I did some research, and it showed that I think 80% of cancer survivors go back to the GP for mental health concerns.
Wow.
Like a year or afterwards. Like from a year afterwards, they're still going to the GP, and it's massive. And I think if we can take some of that, we're not only helping people on a personal level, but also helping the healthcare. We're helping GPs, see the people and diagnose sooner.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's all a bigger system that can all work together.
Exactly, can just complement each other, and at the end of the day, we all want the same thing. We all want everyone to, not just survive from cancer, but then to then thrive, to go and live, and to not be consumed by this fear, like that it does take control even after you've had the treatment.
And that's the thing, the fear of, I think even if you can get through the fear of reoccurrence or the fear of something else happening, or the fear of even if you can like reduce that can make a massive difference and a massive shift into like what you want to do, or what you can do, or energy levels, or because it's all a big system, and it comes, these mental health issues and these emotional health issues can manifest in the body as pain, and that's science, that can happen. And you think, when you're stressed, or when you've got having an anxiety attack, you have like a tight chest, and it's all physical, and it all can relate to different types of conditions as well. Stress is a massive factor in a lot of long-term conditions.
Yeah, see, I never knew that as well until about a year or two ago. And it was like, God, stress has a lot to answer for. Like, it really can just spill into so many things. And then, you go to the GP and they give you a pill. So then it's masked. And it's like, well, that's not helping, though. It's just masking it.
Exactly. I mean, they've got their place. It has got its place. But in my opinion, it shouldn't be a long-term thing.
No.
In my opinion, I think it needs to be like a stopgap for when someone's really, really struggling and needing that extra cover, needing the extra support for it. I think that it works very well there. The problem is GPs can't follow it up because they don't have time. It's not that they don't care, they just don't have time. And I think everything is shifting into recognising how emotional health works now. And I think we've shifted now from what we were before, when it was you either just get on with it, or you take something for it, or you just live with it. There's so much more awareness of how we manage emotions now and how we can. There's so much more kind of understanding of it, I think, which is really good because people will then be able to manage mental health better.
No, definitely. And I think, this is the thing, and this is why like these conversations are so important, because it's getting others to understand that cancer, it has a whole load of baggage that comes with it, and it's not just, you know, the physical pain, it's the emotional pain, and it's talking about that though, that's then when it helps, and that's when it helps you then not feel alone. So lastly, what one word would you associate with cancer?
Now.
It stumps people.
It does. It does. Because I would say that I would not.
And don't be thinking. I know. Don't be afraid that people are going to be like, "What's she saying that for?" Like,
well, that is a very, very strange question, and I don't know if I actually think of a word when I think of cancer anymore, because I say it so much.
Yeah.
And I guess kind of after cancer is rebirth. That's the word that I would associate with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think maybe challenge.
Yeah. No,
maybe just look at it as a challenge. If that makes sense.
No, it does, because it does challenge you. It challenges you to not step up, but kind of.
Because the word, even after cancer, even when you've survived cancer, you have still been given that diagnosis of cancer. You've still been faced with your own mortality.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a massive shift in. It can make you question everything. I think being faced with your own mortality is a chance to question life.
Especially,
it's a chance to question values.
And especially if you're not of an older age, because we don't think about that time of our lives, you know, when you were 40 and below, and yet, you know, so many of us do have to then deal with cancer at that sort of age, and it's a case of, well, yeah, it's not you're not going to be thinking about that necessarily when you're 70, 80 years old. It's sometimes you're forced to think about it and face it earlier on. So yeah, that is a big challenge. Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on and speaking about your journey, Marley's journey. I know that this is definitely going to have helped people. I think, you know, childhood cancer is definitely something that definitely doesn't get spoken about, and it's unfortunately, you know, it is something that does happen. So this awareness is definitely going to help. So thank you so much. I appreciate you.
You're so welcome.
But I will tag Rosy. I'll add her as a collaborator. So then if you want to check out Rosy and go to her page, then you can go and see her. But yes, so have a lovely evening, and
Thank you.
I'll speak to you later.